Just missing, where's Mike at? I'm going to call this Executive and Finance Committee meeting to order for May 30th, 2024. Councilman Poindexter, can you do the invocation, please?
Skionetlen, Ogidol de Galana de, Alaskuskis Delix Kajistakawiu. Father, thank you for this time and fellowship together. Lord, thank you for helping us all come together in one spot to help the betterment of the Cherokee people. And I pray that you continue to lead us forward with the mind of Christ, Lord, that to help us continue to bless each other and our neighbors and bless our hands as we continue to work for one another, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Shelley, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Joshua Sam.
Here.
Kevin Easley. Here. Sasha Black Fox Qualls. Here. Danny Callison. Here. Julia Coates.
Here.
Joe Deere. Mike Dobbins. Here. Lisa Hall. Here. Johnny Kidwell. Here. Daryl Legg. Here. Dora Petzkowski. Here. Cody Poindexter. Aye. Mike Shambaugh. Melvina Shotpouch. E.O. Smith. Here. Condesa Teehee. Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Shelley. All right, has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from the April 25th, 2024 regular session? Got a motion? Got a second? Got a motion and a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? All right, that passes. All right, let's jump into reports. Cherokee Nation businesses. Do we have, we got.
Good afternoon. Happy to be here with you all. I'm substituting for Chuck Garrett, and we'll do my best to answer any questions related to the report if you have any.
All right, does anyone have any questions for Molly? All right, looks like you did a great job. Oh, Danny?
Any report on Arkansas, or is it still?
I don't have a lot of report about Arkansas just because I haven't been involved with it, but right now the application period is open, and I know our C&E staff are working hard on that application to renew. The period will close June 11th, and I believe the Racing Commission does meet on the 12th. Yes, if there's anything different, I'll get more information back to you. Of course.
All right, any other questions for Molly? All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's jump on over to the Treasurer's Report with Treasurer Janice Taylor.
Thank you, and I want to thank those of you that were able to join our calls yesterday. I am going to do the ARPA presentation in here as well. Chairman, would you like to do questions over the report, if there are any first, and then go to the report, or how do you want to do that?
Okay, we can. Do we have any questions for Treasurer before we go to the PowerPoint? Doesn't look like any questions.
And is Dr. Coates on?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Did you get the slides yesterday, Dr. Coates?
I did.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think everybody's in good shape, so we'll go ahead and get started with that. I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to update you on the SLFRF funds. We commonly refer to these here in the tribe as ARPA funds, but I want to make a distinction for you all. The American Rescue Plan Act had a lot of funds that they dispersed, and what we are talking about today are specifically the state and local fiscal recovery funds. Emily, go ahead, slide 2. So I'm going to just read this to you. This is some background on these funds. The American Rescue Plan Act, enacted by the 117th Congress on March 11th, 2021, delivered $350 billion in coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds to states, territorial, local, and tribal governments across the country to support their response and recovery from the COVID-19 public health emergency. The Department of Treasury allowed 4 years to commit the funds. All of the funds must be obligated before 12/31/2024. No reallocations will be allowed after this date. All SLFRF funds must be depleted before 12/31/2026. Any remaining funds at 12/31/2026 must be returned to the Department of Treasury. Next slide. This slide is taken from a report that I presented to council last June after the completion of a desk review of Cherokee Nation's spending of the CARES funds. Some of you have taken office since that time, so I want to revisit. The OIG, Office of Inspector General, ordered a desk review as a result of an anonymous complaint to the Department of Treasury, inferring that the Cherokee Nation had misspent CARES Act funds. A review was ordered by the Office of Inspector General, and it began on May 31st, 2022. The final unmodified report with no findings was submitted on June 27th, 2023. I want to emphasize those two dates because we worked on this for over a year to get them everything they needed. It was a tremendous amount of work. But their conclusion, which is taken exactly from the report, says, based on our review of the Cherokee Nation's documentation supporting the uses of CRF proceeds as reported in the Grant Solutions portal, we determined that the expenditures comply with the CARES Act and Treasury's guidance. Additionally, we determined the Cherokee Nation's risk of unallowable use of funds to be low. As such, Castro, that is the auditing firm that the OIG contracted to do this, is not recommending Treasury OIG perform an audit of the Cherokee Nation. This is a remarkable feat that the Office of Financial Resources performed. Since I did that report in June, some other desk reviews have been done, other tribes, other states, other large cities, and I'm going to read you the comments on 3 other tribes, and there's a bunch of them. These were just the first 3 I came to. That's our comment. So Emily, if you'll go to the next slide. So the top one says, based on the work performed, Castro questions $80,844,218 in expenditures and determined that blank nation's risk of unallowable use of funds is high. That's another tribe. The one in the middle says Castro could not determine if blank tribe's use of CRF proceeds complies with CARES Act and the Department of Treasury's guidance. Therefore, Castro questions the entire $2,348,063 in CRF proceeds that blank tribe received from Treasury and concludes that that tribe's risk of unallowable use of funds is high. And then the third one, Castro identified total question cost of $672 and determined that blank tribe's risk of unallowable use of funds to be moderate. Based on Castro's desk review, Treasury Office of Inspector General is questioning unsupported expenditures of $339,672. So I cannot stress enough the amount of detail that my staff goes into, the amount of documentation that we do. And so if we send stuff back to you asking for a little bit of additional stuff, it's so we don't end up with comments like that on public websites. So go to the next slide. This is the state of Oklahoma's report that came out about the same time that ours did. They had questionable costs, they had qualified opinions, and the very last line on that, you probably can't read it, but it says, are they a low-risk auditee? And the answer is no. We are a low-risk auditee, meaning our auditors anticipate that we're going to have, they still audit us, but they don't have to do as much because they're pretty sure that all of our stuff is going to be in order. So I'm proud of what we've done so far. So move on to, yes, thank you, Emily. These are the focus areas that this council passed in September for the remaining SLFRF funds at that time. I just wanted to remind you of those things, and then we're going to go through what we've done to date and how they've been applied in those focus areas. So to date, the ARPA SLFRF funding, we were awarded $1.996 billion worth of ARPA SLFRF funds. 100% of the funds received were allocated by this council in Resolution 1622. All of the Cherokee Nation SLFRF funds will be obligated via the vendor or the contract prior to 12/31/24. Some infrastructure projects have an ending date of 9/30/2026, so that varies just a little bit. In the 3 years we've been dispersing these funds, we've spent, go back one, please, thank you. In the 3 years we've been dispersing these funds, we've spent or obligated almost 75% of our allocation. Let me give you a little accounting 101 on the difference between spent and obligated. So spent is what we think of in our private, how we handle our money. So you've either written the check or you've handed over the cash. It has left your possession. And we have some of that, but obligated, on the other hand, has essentially the same meaning. It's a purchase order, an invoice that is not yet paid, or a contract that may not be fully executed. Cherokee Nation is still obligated to pay that. We may just be waiting on the work to be done or merchandise to arrive, but it's still a legally binding promise to pay. So the remaining SLFRF allocated to those programs that this council approved in the 5 focus areas, but they're not yet to the stage of being legally obligated. So these are programs like our various job training programs, the individual assistance program that has not completely wrapped up, things like that that will continue to spin down as those programs sunset. And there are also some large construction projects that we haven't fully executed, but we'll be doing those soon. We're very close on that. So to be clear, we've allocated all of the money. We know where it's going to go in those 5 focus areas, and the projects are proceeding as planned. All right, next one. Okay, let's break down how we're utilizing the funds within the 5 categories. And I want to call your attention to something. It shouldn't surprise me, but it still stood out. If you look at that second line, the human and family services, the amount we have spent on that far exceeds the other 4 categories combined. Those are the services that directly impact our citizens, the individual assistance payment, the winter coat, heating, those type of things that go directly to our citizens. And so I'm always proud when I see how we're using our money. Next slide. There we go. These are a couple of the community ARPA construction projects, the Woody Hare Community Center and the Marble City Center. Just 2 of our completed construction projects that we've done, and I just wanted to remind you guys of those. Okay, the next one. Okay, the next steps. We're currently over-allocated in the SLFRF funds by about $8 million, give or take. And this simply means that we have set aside more dollars for these projects than we've actually received. Now, as you know, this is nothing new and no reason to be alarmed. This is just like our budget. We pass the budget in September, but then we come back each month adjusting that. Some programs need a little more. Some programs don't need everything that they've been allocated. So we're continually working on that number. In this case, inflation has been a big factor because 3 years ago when we allocated funding to particularly some of the construction projects, we estimated what we thought they were going to cost, and then when we got the bids back, it was considerably more than the cost that we had estimated. And then again, in that number of over-allocation are programs that will be sunsetting over the next couple of years. They're all estimates, and as those programs close out, there's typically a little bit left at the end. We can't know for certain how much we will need for all the programs until we're done. So no doubt we've over-allocated in some of the programs, and we can recoup that and transfer to projects that may have a deficit. So we absolutely do not want to send any money back to Treasury. We don't intend to. And so as we spin this down over the next couple of years, we'll be continually tweaking those so that it comes out to zero on 12/31/2026. So that is everything on that funding. Are there any questions that I can answer? Anything that's unclear?
We have any questions? Speaker?
Not a question, but a comment. You know, this has been a long tradition of our treasurers taking care of our funds and doing a good job and being recognized by, you know, the government that we do a good job. And I just want to say, you've continued that tradition well since you've been in there, and thank you so much for
Thank you.
taking care of us.
I
It's a
appreciate
good
it.
job. It's a big job.
It's a
So,
daunting task.
It is.
It really
It's
is.
really kind of scary. Thank you.
Joe?
Real quick, Janice, remember we were doing that 2,000 for everybody? And did we ever just do a cutoff on those ones that we could never get a hold of, and there was all those? There was like some that was a pile that we couldn't finish.
I think, and I'm not sure what your question is, if you're talking about citizenship or if
The
you're talking
2,000 when we
about.
gave out to every
Well,
citizen.
I know that,
And then they
but
moved
they
or
had to apply
whatever.
for it.
Yeah.
The way that that is done is through the Gadoogie portal.
Yeah.
And so the information should be, the citizen puts that in themselves. So I'm not aware of any that the check didn't get to them or they didn't get the direct deposit because we're going off their information. It's pretty quick turnaround.
Okay, so that whole thing is cleaned up and done.
As far as I know.
Good.
I
All right.
mean, it is not closed yet.
Yeah,
Excuse me. But it will be closing soon.
yeah.
And the thing about that is they make the application, they're inputting the information, and then we do the upload within, I don't think it takes more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
From the time they apply until they get the funds. So there shouldn't be any bad information in there.
All right, thanks.
All right, any other questions?
Well, I knew that, but I didn't. Okay, so the application for that closes this Saturday at midnight,
Oh, wow.
June 1st.
That's what I was needing to know. Thank you.
EO?
On the final money on the 26th, the 12/31/26, all projects have to be completed, right?
There, and I don't know that I brought that out. Some of the construction projects actually have a 9/30/26 deadline. And what we have been told by Treasury is that means final walkthrough, all of the invoices paid, and if they're paid by check, they have to go to the vendor and be back to us. So I think that is why it's the, they have a little bit earlier deadline. But there will be no spending after that date.
All right, any other questions? All right, I'll just make a small comment. From my time working in financial resources, the employees there, leadership, all through there, they're always there making sure that funds are allocated correctly. I know y'all have the biggest hearts and making sure the job gets done well.
They do. It's a great team over
We
there.
appreciate y'all.
It really is. I like them all.
All
Okay.
right, thank you.
If there are no more questions, thanks for letting me brag on my staff, brag on just the way we do things around here. I have the full support of the chief, which makes my job much easier. But if anything comes up, you have any questions, you know where to find me. Call me anytime.
All right, thank you. All right, let's move on over to Career Services and Employment with Miss Diane Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have my report in front of you. We went into great detail to spotlight our recovery employment program this month, and also some of the staff that were attending other meetings throughout the month. Hunter was at one of the tribal workforce summits and spoke on our economic development and all the activities that we're doing as far as OJT and training. I wanted to bring you up to date on our summer career pathways. George has been working diligently, him and his staff, every evening to make sure that they get all the applications approved. Right now, they're looking at probably around 1,500 youth That's about how many we're going to be able to assist. Now, however many applications get processed, I don't know. I'll know that number probably tomorrow. Tomorrow's our deadline. We also have our career exploration program that Kim Childers and her staff are working on, and it starts next week. And then our summer leadership program, they did the interviews this week and selected, I think, 20 young people, and they will be introduced at the council meeting next month. And then they will be participating in various events. The first 2 weeks of the leadership program, they will be out on tour. And then the latter part of the training, they will be going to Cherokee, North Carolina in July. So George Roach has done a really good job, and him and his staff have worked diligently to try to get all these people processed. And if you see George, pat him on the back, because he's been putting in some long hours. When I leave here around 6:30, his vehicle's still out in the parking lot. I came through here back from Muskogee one evening, and it was 8:30, and he was still here. So I told him, I said, count your blessings. You don't have to do this, but maybe 2 or 3 months out of the year. Daryl knows about that, don't you, Daryl? Especially if you work for me. One of the highlights of last week, we received one of our grants that we had put in for our wildland fire program, received a $9.9-something million grant. We don't have the grant yet. We were just notified. We're very excited. It's going to allow us to buy some equipment, and it's also going to allow us to expand our wildland fire program. And we're hoping to move towards the northern area, especially up in the Kenwood area, since we have tribal lands up there. So we're moving in that direction. I want to compliment our people that have been working on this. Allie Friend, who used to be one of our firefighters, was the person who wrote the grant. And she and Jacob Bolin from Sequoia County, they're the two people that worked on this grant. And I just can't say enough about the grant itself. It was very rewarding. We've got it for 5 years, but we're probably going to be able to get it spent within less than 5 years. They also were successful in getting a fire camp grant. We'll be doing fire camp for youth probably at the end of July, the first part of August. They are in rookie training right now over at the Job Corps. They're doing rookie camp, and then they'll be doing some PAC testing. So we are recruiting. When we got the applications for the summer youth program, we had several young men that indicated they wanted to go into the fire program. So apparently we're doing something right, because we've got youth that are interested in it. We also have been approached by the United States Department of Labor Office of Job Corps to look at doing PAC training for some of our culinary students. You're aware that there's been a lot of big wildfires out in California, Arizona, and various places in a lot of these forest areas. They are looking at taking some 18-wheeler trucks and converting them into kitchens. And they want to look at Oklahoma, because all 3 of the Job Corps centers have culinary training. And we're also kind of in the central location of several forests. And they're wanting us to get some of the youth trained who can go out, live in tents, and cook for about 2-week intervals, and go out kind of like when you go out for summer camp, if you're in the National Guards. Well, they will allow the Job Corps kids to go out for 2-week intervals. And that's something that we're working on. And the Tulsa Job Corps and Guthrie Job Corps are reported to the Dallas region. They could actually stay at our center, and we could do the training there, and we can give them the red cards and do the training. It's not official yet. They just talked to us about it about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So it's in the development stages. We've also been invited to come back to New Orleans in September with our culinary students for the Disney Corporation. So we will be transporting some more students down there for possible jobs. So got a lot of good things going on. We're very excited. Brenda and her staff are vetting grants. We're trying to get more grants coming into the nation, because we know that when the ARPA money is gone, that was one of the areas that we had a lot of resources. So we've got to have some of these other grants to take its place. And Matt Lamont is out right now. He had some surgery, but he is diligently working on grants while he's home recuperating. So we know that they're going to have some grants through the DOJ too. So we just got a lot of things going on, and we're real excited about this new grant that we've got. Are there any questions?
Darryl?
Diane, this is an excellent report.
Thank you.
The Recovery Employment Program, Is that a specific grant, or is that just a program that operates a few of the grants?
What we did is we took all of our programs and grouped them into categories. The opioid money that we got, the chief gave us $1 million to work with opioid clients and working with them in training and jobs. We also were successful, I think I told you, that we got EDA, which was the first EDA grant that we got for women in non-traditional jobs coming out of reentry and women and veterans. Those grants all went under Matt. Matt has the reentry, he has the opioid addiction, and he has the voc rehab, and he has the EDA. Those are all under him, just like Hunter's got on-the-job training, economic development, and vocational. Brenda's got the grants and compliance on the support side, and she's also got the jobs side. So, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
All right, do we have any other questions for Diane? Speaker?
Hey, whatever happened to those, didn't somewhere in New York or something want 5 of our culinary students and some Wolfgang Puck or Guy Ferrari or whatever his name is, someplace up there?
It's what they call advanced training. They go through our program for 2 years, then they can go through another additional year in advanced training. And the Job Corps has identified specific Job Corps centers that can do advanced training past the 2 years that they're at one of these centers.
Did they
And-
go? Did anybody, have they gone?
Yes, we have had some students out on some of these cruise ships, and we've also had some of them working up in New York City. I don't know exactly who all they were,
Yeah.
but year before last, we had close to 10 to 12 advanced students that went out, and most of them landed jobs.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? I mean,
It
who would have
is.
thought you'd end up somewhere like that when you're a kid?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good testament to your program.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you, thank you. Well, we're trying to publicize some of them in our reports.
Awesome. All right, any other questions? All right, doesn't look like it. Great report.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump over to Commerce Department with Miss Anna Knight.
I don't have much for you. You have a copy of my report. I want to tell you, thank you for listening to Jody. I tell you, that Bridges Out of Poverty program, and we just started it this year, and we've been targeting the First Steps to Hope participants. And we've graduated 75 people so far this year. Those people have done, and they all have stories similar to Jody's. This has been the most heartwarming program that I've worked on, and I've worked here for almost 31 years, so. Anyhow, it's a great program, and I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate your support of that program. We're looking for it to do some great things. We're even working with a professor in Arkansas, and they're using it as a research project so we can really tell the ladies that got the First Steps to Hope that went through Bridges and the ladies who did not, the differences, how much of a difference Bridges made for them. So anyhow, thank you so much. And other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, do we have any questions for Anna? Darrell?
Anna, is the Cowie Cafe still going? Are we still utilizing the reentry participants there?
Yes, yeah, we're
Awesome.
still partnering with Diane, and we're actually getting ready to run a Cowie Junior at the, in Stillwell at the health center, so, yeah. Cowie Junior.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump over to consent items. Has everyone had a chance to review those? Got any questions or comments? Jody, you got anything on them? All right, looks like we're good there. We'll jump down. Old business, none pending. New business, Councilman Easley, can you take that one for us?
Sir. This is an act amending legislative act number 22-23, authorizing the comprehensive operating budget for fiscal year 2024, Mod 8, declaring an emergency. Put this in the form of a motion.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposition? All right, motion passes. All right, announcements. Next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, June 27th at 3 p.m. Do we have any other announcements? All right, any another motion? Got a motion? Motion and second. All right, we're adjourned.